I had another guy had a mortar detonate right outside his fucking hooch, and he was bending over to tie his boots, and the shrapnel, like if he would have been sitting up, would have hit him in the back of the head, the neck, and the upper torso. But since he was bending down tying his boots, it came through the wall and ripped through the ceiling. Missed him completely. Hello everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode, live from the Lair. Alright, here we go. Let's see. So the rest of these stories, well, majority of them that are left take place while I was finishing up my tour on Camp Slayer. I did travel between Slayer and Abu a few times, basically to, you know, hang out with the dudes, and, you know, it's good for the dudes to see the guys in charge, especially when they're stationed away from, you know, the flagpole. You know, some other people in the chain of command didn't feel that way, but that particular individual earned the name Worthless for a reason. Fuck that guy. Okay, so one of the things that I did when I got to Slayer is when I would drive around, I don't know, maybe it's old pack rat mentality, maybe it's a Green Beret old habit that dies hard, but I took inventory of all of the shit lying around. You know, there was spools of cable, you know, there were, you know, corrugated tin, I-beams, lumber. You know, and I would ask the units that were around, you know, these things are just randomly laying around, and they wouldn't, you know, one of them was there for like 8 months, and they said it was there when they got here, so I wrote all that down on a fucking clipboard, and it, you know, got basically added to the pile of bartering chips that we used to use to get what we needed done. And I recall, I believe I swapped a pallet of corrugated tin for 2 up armor doors, an up armor window. What else did I throw in there? I think it was a transmission and like a rear axle for a Humvee, up armor Humvee. Because by the time we had got to Slayer, those things had been like worn hard, put to bed wet. Shit was fucking up. I mean, they were thrown together haphazardly. You know, by the time we got them, they had, you know, the brakes didn't work. I had brake lines breaking. I had hinges of doors that were, you know, basically bending under the weight of the door. Thus, I got the doors because I used the hinges, and then we used the actual glass and parted them all out, and then swapped those parts for more parts just to keep everything going. What are you gonna do? Same thing with the cable. I think I swapped that to some of the civilian, you know, techno dorks, I guess you call them, the ones that ran all of the, you know, the internet lines and so forth. You know, we gave them the cable, and we got some extra drops, a couple more laptops. Things worked out great. Now, one of the big things that took place when we got to Victory and Slayer, there was civilian vehicles that were confiscated in 2003 that were still floating around, that people were driving. So there really was no accountability for said vehicles. And this actually spilled over into the actual other vehicles, not military vehicles, but for, I guess you'd say, the 4x4 vehicles that were, you know, that were purchased by civilian companies. They would be used, then the company contracts would swap around, and vehicles would drop off lists, and they were just floating around. So on a couple occasions, you know, me and some of my soldiers jumped in some vehicles and would drive them haphazardly around, and then when we were done, we would park them in front of like a computer cafe or in front of the chow hall and just fucking leave them. And were we stealing them? Not really, because they really didn't belong to anybody anyway, but the government, we worked for the government, we were just using them. Okay, now this led to some other issues in regards to that kind of craziness. On Victory, they started putting up these goddamn speed bumps everywhere, and what they would do is they would basically take an old tank tread, run it across the road, and they were like every 18 fucking feet, you're like boom, boom, going over these fucking things. Driving us fucking crazy. If there was a stretch of road that didn't have those on there, we would drive fast. And they started, you know, the MPs started giving us speeding tickets. I don't know how it worked, but apparently they would give these tickets, then they would turn the tickets over to the chain of command, and then it was like the first sergeant's job to fucking hammer people. Now, they really kind of got bent around the axle, and they pulled me over, and I'm a first sergeant going, yeah, what the fuck you want? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, sure, thanks. Crumple it up, throw it on the floor. Fuck you. You know, I mean, fuck those guys. You know, and then they were bringing in all of the, they brought in Pizza Hut, they brought in, I think, Subway, Anthony's Pizza, McDonald's, Burger King, and I remember, like, eating the Army food for a while. I went over to, I think it was Burger King, and I ordered 2 double cheeseburgers, Coke, and some onion rings. I wolfed it all down because it was fucking great, even though, you know, what are you going to do? I mean, I hadn't eaten fast food in months. And literally, like, 25 minutes later, I'm the shitter fucking just you know, shitting out all of my fucking guts for all I'm worth. I mean, my ass turned into 2 water cannons that night. It was terrible. I had cramps for like 2 or 3 days in my intestines. And I learned a valuable lesson. Switching over between, you know, the Army vittles and fast food willy-nilly, not a good thing. I don't suggest it to anybody. It just it didn't end well for anyone. Now, they had a pool on Victory, and by this time this was like July, you know, July time frame, so it was stupid hot in Iraq. You know, people would come hang out at the fucking pool. A lot of female soldiers would come hang out at the pool. That means everybody would want to hang out at the fucking pool, just to look at fucking trim and tits and whatever. Which, I don't blame them, but we're in a fucking combat zone, and you just can't hang out there 24/7. Did I go to the pool? Yes, I went to the pool once in a while. You know, hour here, hour there, you know, just to swim, chill out, and, you know, decompress my brain pan. But old Worthless and some of his individuals that hung around him like to hang out there a lot. I wouldn't say all the time, but a lot. And it was becoming detrimental. So I would spend a large amount of time in the TOC, basically handling shit, because I'm the first sergeant and somebody has to be the fucking adult there. You're in a fucking combat zone. You know, who would have thunk, you know, the fucking triple tab fucking first sergeant has to be the adult in this stupid ass equation. But hey, I did it. But at this time I had 1st platoon working at a Vabu. I had 3rd platoon moving around, yeah, the different FOBs around Baghdad, you know, doing patrols or whatever. I had 2nd platoon up north at Mosul, and just a skeleton crew of guys, you know, back at the headquarters, which is the way it should be. But every time that fucking phone would ring, I swear to you, it was like a miniature heart attack, because, you know, I didn't have control over my guys. You know, you know, that's just the way it is. And every time the phone would ring, I'd be like, oh my God, somebody's fucking dead, and they're calling me, and I'm like, oh my fucking God. And my head would go into the whole fucking, you know, shit, I gotta fucking write letters, notify people, fuck, God damn it, you know. Especially when I swore on my life that everyone's gonna come home alive. You know, so, I mean, even to this day, I cannot deal with standard, like the old, you know, ringing telephone thing. I can handle, like, you know, the different ringtones of phones, but if it's a standard bell ringing, old school telephone ring, it drives me fucking crazy. My heart will still jump, you know, skip a beat when I hear that shit. I can't fucking stand that. Okay, so we talked about the pool on Victory, ringtone drama. Okay, so we had all these laptops that either I had acquired or the supply guys acquired, or I had some, you know, S6 guys that acquired for us. And we decided that we were going to put them in a huge network. I think we had like 8 or 12 laptops hooked up in a room. And just for shits and giggles in the evening, we would play first-person shooters on these things. And it was fucking fun as shit. Okay, now granted, you know, I back in the day, I used to love video games. I played them all the time. And I played them in Iraq. But somehow, after I got wounded, and I went through the divorce and all of the fucking train wreck my life had become after that, I had lost my you know, love for video games and basically for many things. My hobby fucking farm went down to like nothing. I was trying to fight my way back from that, but that's another story. And we had a great time. We drink that fucking alcohol-free fucking beer and, you know, eat a bunch of fucking gut rot. We bought the PX, and just for a little while, we'd forget we're in fucking Iraq, and a bunch of crazy-ass shit was going on. And that was very, very welcome. Now, just because we're on Victory doesn't mean we didn't get mortar attacks, because we did. Actually, Lair was outside Victory, so it got considerably more mortar attacks than Victory did. Basically because it was smaller, it was easier to target, I guess. Even though we got hit with a lot of mortars and a couple RPGs, they didn't hit us with the Cartouche rockets like they did Victory. Victory got fucking rockets all the time. And we were hunting this guy called Rocket Man because that was his fucking job. I mean, this motherfucker launched rockets into Victory like he was the boss. I mean, it was fucking crazy. In fact, one of my guys, you know, I call him Evil Dwarf. You know, this is a secondhand story here, but apparently, when he was on his night off, he's on the phone, satellite phone, basically calling his, you know, slot C stateside, and they're having some kind of fight or some shit going on. And literally, he's standing there, and a fucking Cartouche rocket lands like 8 meters away from him. It sticks in the fucking dirt. Now, if it would have detonated, it basically would have turned him into road pizza, and there's no force in the universe that would stop that from fucking happening. He would have been fucking deader than shit. Well, then he's on the phone, and it's like, and he sees the smoking motor, and he's like, I'll call you back. It's one of those close call stories. I had another guy, had a mortar detonate right outside his fucking hooch, and he was bending over to tie his boots, and the shrapnel, like if he would have been sitting up, would have hit him in the back of the head, the neck, and the upper torso. But since he was bending down, tying his boots, it came through the wall and ripped through the ceiling. Missed him completely. I had another guy had a rocket. He literally stepped out of his fucking hooch to go to the fucking pisser, and as soon as he stepped into the pisser, a rocket like basically ripped right through his fucking hooch and detonated basically in the gravel road between the two hooches. The explosion was basically absorbed by the sandbags, but if it would have detonated in the room, it would have killed everyone, but it didn't. But it still ripped a big hole in their fucking, in their goddamn fucking, it was insane. All right, now this is a story. This took place back at Abu Ghraib before I went on leave. I'd become the first sergeant, and Colonel Edwards was basically having a bunch of trailers and T-barriers delivered, and they're being set up in the middle of Abu Ghraib prison. And this area had absorbed like an insane amount of mortar attacks. And it got, I heard it through the grapevine that he was going to basically move us out of our prison block to free it up for more prisoners and move us into this fucking shanty town of death. And I went and talked to him about it, and he was basically, fuck it, that's the way it's going to be, you know. And I'm like, you know, what are you fucking talking about? The guy was a fucking idiot. So I'm like, okay. So I get a 4x8 piece of plywood. I paint it white, right? And then I paint, you know, all of the outlines of all of the trailers, where they're going to be. And I went right off of his plan, in his office. And I started a death lottery. And basically, you would put your bet down who would get smoked, and you would get, like, you know, I think it was 2-to-1 for a KIA and you know, 50% for a guy WIA, you know. And it was, well, it got back to him. And he was fucking furious, and he calls me in there, and he's just fucking reading me the riot act. He's like, how fucking dare you bet on your fucking man's fucking dying? And I look him right in the fucking face, and I go, what's the big deal, sir? You are. And he fucking stopped talking. He said, get the fuck out of my office. And he kind of stuttered a little bit, because I know I hit a fucking nerve. And, he was mad as shit. That night I got yelled at by the sergeant major. But guess what never happened? My men never got moved into those fucking trailers. Winning! What a fucking asshole. Alright, we talked about the speeding tickets. Alright, we're at 18 minutes. I think I'm going to call it tonight, gentlemen. I've been drinking anyway. I'm going to get some sleep. You guys take it easy.